Okay, today we're going to do a fun art project around the layers of the earth. So, you are going to start with your paper vertical. This is horizontal and this is vertical. We call this landscape and we call this portrait. So, you're going to start with your paper in portrait. Okay, we're going to start on the very bottom and we're going to add some light pencil lines to guide us. Just a reminder that you are using a piece of your art paper. Thank you. All right, so we're going to start with a circle that starts on the bottom, loops up and around, and then finishes on the bottom. Then we're going to add another line. So that would be your inner core here, your outer core. This will be the line for your mantle. And then we will add the crust later, okay? Take a moment to make those lines. If you need to pause this video at any time, go ahead and pause it to do what you need to do and then start the video again. Okay. Since our inner core is a solid ball of metal, we're gonna make it a very strong little character. So we're gonna start with two eyes, and at this point, you'll want to use your Sharpie marker. So we're gonna start with two little eyes that are squeezed shut. So we're gonna do that with two little triangle shapes going inward. Okay? Next, since we have a strong little inner core that we're drawing, you're gonna make a nice oval shape for the mouth. And then draw a line across it. And then do a bunch of other lines to be its little gritted teeth. Make sure that you leave some room underneath because we're going to add little arms. I'm going to draw my little arms in pencil first so that I make sure that I get them correct, and then I'm going to trace over them with Sharpie marker. So I'm gonna make little muscly arms because my inner core is a very strong, solid ball of metal. So I'm gonna do a little bulge there, have it come down and around to the elbow, and then have this curve around into a little finger to almost, it's gonna look like a little fist. Then I'm gonna do a little thumb coming out, and then a muscle here, and then a muscle up there. So it's like a little strong arm. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So a little bulge, a loop that comes down and around into a little curl, a thumb that comes down, and then whoop, whoop, and back. If I don't feel like those are the same size, I can do a little erase. Make sure that they're close to the same height. And kind of bulge there. Remember, you can pause this video at any time in order to get caught up with your drawing. After you're finished with the pencil, we'll go back a little later and trace over it. Okay, now we're going to have, this is the inner core. The outer core is really good friends with that inner core. So we're going to have that outer core be hugging the inner core. Okay? We're going to have it have two little hands coming around that are giving it a nice hug. So I'm going to draw that little hand coming up, and it'll be like it's coming around and up. So we'll have a thumb, finger, 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 finger. And then the arm will go back. Remember, the thumb's on top. And then the same on this side. So I want to make sure that that arm starts straight across. So it comes up, thumb, finger, 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 and then back. We're going to erase that line right there so that it looks like that part is giving this part a nice hug. Looks like the inner core needs a little hug from the outer core. All right, let's give the outer core a funny little, I think let's give it a funny little sweet face. So let's give it a nice nose. We're gonna do a line coming down like that. And back and down to make a nice little nose. And then two little circles to make two little happy eyes. And then a little, we'll give it a little side smile. All right. Each of the layers are going to be hugging each other in this. So let's give our mantle some arms that are hugging the inner core. So let's give it some nice little curved arms that are giving it a little hug. Thumb, finger, 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 finger. And on this side, thumb, finger, 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 finger. These are cartoons, so the hands don't need to look perfect. I think I want to make that thumb a little more thumb-like. And let's give this one a nice flowy nose. A big flowy nose. Let's give it two little dotted eyes. And let's give it a nice big wide smile. And I think the mantle should have some freckles too. Now, the one thing about the mantle is that it provides magma for our volcanoes. So let's give it a volcano over here. So we're gonna have that magma coming up into the volcano because we're gonna have that volcano exploding. And then let's bring that down, the sides of a volcano down, and then we will draw this across. Let's put a little mountain next to our volcano too, because we know we're going to be learning about how different landforms are created. And then let's do some mountains. Let's have it come down low. Here's the crust of our Earth. And then let's put a little bit of an ocean on top of that crust over here. And then this looks like a volcano. This is going to be a volcano letting out some ash, which we will be learning about. And let's have it be surprised. Oh no. All right. Good job. There are some layers to the sky that go around our Earth, so we're just gonna make a couple of those layers so that we can do a couple different colors up there, okay? All right, my friends, and then you are going to trace over all of these with your Sharpie marker. So I would pause the video here and do that. I'm going to pause my video to do that. So one thing that you want to make sure you do is at this part, where this goes into the volcano, you want to make sure that you don't trace over that line. I'm going in and erasing all my pencil marks right now. Where the arms attach, you want to make sure that you erase that guideline so that this arm flows into the mantle and this arm flows into the outer core. Then you want to go through and make sure that you erase, take a moment to erase all of those pencil marks, okay? Artwork looks a lot neater and a lot more complete without those pencil marks on it. So make sure you get in there and you get all of them erased. All right. So next you're going to want to get out any type of colors that you would like to use. Markers, crayons, oil pastels, watercolor, whatever you have that you would like to use. Watercolor might not work as well on this paper though, because this is art paper. Today for mine, I have decided to use crayons. So I am going to start with the inner core. And we have been making the inner core. We've been working with yellow for the inner core. So for this project, we are going to make our inner core yellow. So for this project, I've actually decided to use a combination of markers and crayons so that I can really show some of the different parts. So I'm going to start, since we're going to make the inner core yellow, I'm actually going to take a marker and I'm going to trace around the edges and some of the more interesting parts of it. So like I'm going to trace over the eyes. I'm going to trace over the arms with orange. Okay, I've decided to use an orange marker for this. I'm tracing over the arms. And then I'm tracing on the inside. So the part I'm not actually tracing over the hand, I'm tracing like around the hand. And keeping that orange marker on the part that is my little inner core strong guy. So this kind of takes some careful tracing. I'm also going to trace around the mouth, but not on the inside of the mouth. Just around it like that. Then I'm not coloring in yellow quite yet. I'm going to use some orange crayon. To color in some parts of it. The bottoms of my arms, so I'm going to add a little orange on the bottom of each of the arms. Just lightly coloring with it, adding a little orange. Maybe adding some on the bottom right here to kind of give it a little bit of shading. And then I'm gonna come in with my yellow crayon and color a little bit over some of those parts that I already colored with the orange. So it kind of blends with it a little bit. And then color in the rest. You can also try to do this with paint if you want. You can see how that works. So I'm going to take a moment off video to finish coloring this in, and then I will be right back. This would be a good place for you to pause your video so that you can color yours in. Make sure you don't color in the teeth. Okay, all done. Please notice that I did not leave any white space where I colored, so I made sure that I colored in all that white space, and that the only white space that I did leave was the where the teeth are. Okay. All right, next part. So now we're going to work on the outer core, and we're going to make the outer core orange, but we are going to actually trace around it with red, okay? So grab your red marker, and we're going to trace just like we traced for this. We're gonna trace on the very inside of everything with red. So the inside of our hands here. My marker is big enough that I'm actually filling in the fingers, but that's okay. We'll be able to, it'll help us see those details. Okay, I'm gonna turn my page so I can get my lines. And I'm just gonna trace along the whole inside line for that outer core. Even though this is going to be colored in orange, we're using the red so that these lines stand out. When you use a darker line or a darker color with a lighter color to trace lines, it stands out a little more. Make sure you don't go inside the mantle's fingers. You're going around the mantle's fingers. Okay, then I'm gonna trace over the little eyes and the nose and the mouth. Okay, I am also going to grab my red crayon for this one. Let me see. Yep, here's my red. And I'm gonna add a little bit of shading on the bottom of those arms, maybe the hands. Maybe those hands are red hot. I'm gonna add some little rosy cheeks. And then I'm gonna come in and maybe I wanna make it, do a little bit of shading on the bottom right here on this side, and a little bit of shading on the bottom here on this side. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in with my orange, and I'm going to color everything else in. Now, there's nothing that we need to leave white on this, so I'm gonna color in my entire outer core. So I am going to pause my video and color that in. This is a good place for you to pause your video to do your coloring. Remember, if you want to see what I've done first, you might want to wait until that shows in the recording and then pause it to do your coloring. Okay, we are done with our inner core. We are done with our outer core. Now it's time to work on the mantle. Now with the mantle, the next layer is going to be the crust. And the next darkest color that we can use with red is like a brown. So for the mantle, we are going to outline those parts in brown, even though we will be coloring in the mantle with red. So remember, just like with our other two, you're just going to trace over the hands of that layer on the inside of them. So tracing on the inside line of that hand. Tracing along the inside line right here. Inside this hand. Taking my time. Very nice. Then I'm going to do this line that goes up into the volcano. Our magma coming out of the volcano. And then down and along the inside of all of that. And then let's trace over the nose. And the mouth. And the eyes and the little freckles. Okay. So now I'm going to get a brown crayon to color in maybe a little bit in the hands, on the bottom of the arms. Maybe over on the side a little bit. I think I'm gonna color in the nose. Oh, I love that. And maybe a little bit of shading on the bottom right there. Okay. Then I'm gonna come in with my red and color in all of that mantle, okay? So I would wait until you see that this is colored in and then pause your video to color in yours. Okay, that mantle is now colored in. Now it's time to do the crust. Now we're not going to outline the crust. We're just gonna come through and color it in brown. Make sure you don't color in the eyes. Carefully color in those lines. And then the ocean floor right here. And then you can either use a blue marker or blue of whatever you have and color in that ocean. Next, we'll want to do the same, and actually looking at the little mouth on this volcano, I want to make it And then maybe add a little bit of gray for that cloud right there. And then I'm going to think about what I'm going to do for these layers of the sky. So closer to the earth, it would probably be a lighter blue. So I'm going to color it in with a lighter blue closer to the earth and then do a darker blue and an even darker blue, okay? So whatever you're using to color this in, please make sure that you take your time to color it in all the way. Try to get rid of all the white space, okay? So I did a lighter blue and then a darker shade and then an even darker shade on the top to do the sky. So here is your layers of the earth and sky piece. Please take your time with it.